Another scene from an iconic 2000s movie comes to mind, Mean Girls. You know the clip when Katie gets invited to Regina George's house for the first time? She's there with all of the plastics and they start talking about parts of their body that they don't like. So, for example, Regina is trying to lose 3 pounds and she's like, oh my God, my thighs or my stomach or whatever. She wants to lose 3 pounds because she feels like she's gotten too chubby. And then each of the other girls, the other plastics, starts chiming in about what part of their body that they don't like. And once they're all done, they all look at Katie expectingly, waiting for her. Okay, so now it's your turn to tell us what you don't like about yourself. The same thing, there was a similar scene in Sex and the City, actually. I think in either season 1 or 2, one of the earlier seasons, where each of the women, I think this is where Mean Girls took inspiration from that scene. Mean Girls took inspiration probably from that Sex and the City scene for their scene with Katie and the plastics. Yeah, I'm convinced now. But same thing happened. Like Charlotte, Carrie, and Miranda each talked about how they were struggling with some aspect of their dating life. Like Miranda felt that she wasn't cute enough, and then Charlotte, I don't know. I don't remember what they said, but then they look expectantly, is that a word? They look to Samantha, like they all pause because she's the only one that hasn't complained about a flaw yet. And Samantha's like, what? What are you looking at me for? I'm pretty much flawless.
I hate my thighs.
Oh, come on.
Well, I'll take your thighs and raise you a chin.
I'll take your chin and raise you a...
What?
Oh, come on.
I happen to love the way I look.
And they're like, oh my God, rolling their eyes. But no, Samantha and Katie both had the right idea. Okay, I think Katie eventually she caved and she just said something about how, oh, I guess my breath stinks in the morning. And the rest of the girls were like, ew, why would you say that? Like you were supposed to harp on something about your physical appearance.
My hairline is so weird. My pores are huge. My nail beds suck. I have really bad breath in the morning. Ew.
Stay on code, Katie. But actually, she did the right move. You know why? So this is my fifth piece of advice. I don't remember what number we're on. Do not talk about your insecurities or your whatever perceived inadequacies that you have in public to other people. Don't call attention. Don't draw attention to your own insecurities or whatever you think that you have shortcomings in. Don't say that to other people. Okay, that is nobody else's business except your own. And if it's something that you have a wound around, if you have some sort of like deep-seated insecurity, then you need to take that conversation up with a therapist or a counselor, or at the very least, like one of your very, very close friends, like someone that you would trust with your life. Okay, a friend or a sister, best friend or a sister. Don't be telling your coworkers or guys that you're dating or anyone, like if you're in a job interview, don't be talking about your weaknesses. You know, that cliche advice that they give to every job seeker, that when the interviewer asks you to describe a shortcoming or a negative trait that you have, you're supposed to spin it in a way that makes it still sound like it's positive. You're not supposed to talk about an actual flaw that you have, right? So for example, you're not just going to come out and be like, oh, well, yeah, I have a problem with tardiness. So I'm more than often usually late when I come to work. I'm usually late to meetings. Like you should never say that in an interview. Even if they ask you point blank, tell us about an actual flaw that you have, you should say something like, I don't know, I care too much, or I'm a perfectionist. So sometimes I make too many drafts of things. I put too much detail into my reports, even though my manager tells me that I should cap it at 2 pages. I just can't help myself because I'm so detail oriented that I often go over the quota. I often make it 2.5 pages, even though the cap was supposed to be 2 pages. You are supposed to BS like that. Like no matter how cliche it seems, and everyone knows that this is the game, and you're not supposed to give your real insecurities or flaws away. Okay? Same thing goes with like your appearance, for example. If there's something that you don't like about the way you look, you should never say that in public, okay? Because you never know who's listening. Your enemy could be in the midst. Why would you give your enemy free ammunition against you for no reason? Like it's helpful to no one. You know, if you have to, just make something up that's benign. Like, so for example, something that you don't actually care about. So if you asked me what my physical insecurity was, I'm never going to tell you. I'm never going to get on a public platform and tell you my actual biggest insecurity. I'm just gonna say something like, okay, well, I feel a little chubby at the moment, right? Like you see, I'm not fat or anything, but it's not it's not toned, like things are getting a little jiggly. I could tone up a little bit, right? In actuality, I don't really care about that because I'm not like by any stretch of the imagination. I know I'm not overweight. I just need to tone up a little bit, and it's not something that is gonna destroy my self-esteem. Like somebody else could point that out to me and I would find it to be unnecessary and rude, but it wouldn't like completely ruin my day, right? It wouldn't completely destroy my self-confidence for the next week because it's not my actual biggest insecurity. Yeah, you should never say that out loud in public. There was a girl at the modeling class that I went to yesterday. Wait, no, Saturday actually, because they had a free modeling class for us. The organization that throws the Qipao and kimono beauty pageants that I participated in. The first one that happened back in May, and then the next one is going to be July 19th. So they had like a free fashion walking lesson for us on Saturday. And there was this new girl that came and she was kind of weird. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I'm not trying to like, I don't want to harp on this girl, but I have to say she gave me very, very weird, slightly unhinged vibes from the very start. I don't know. She would ask weird run-on questions that never seemed to go anywhere. Like there were a few people that gave presentations before the model walking lesson, and each time she would chime in and try to ask a question at the end. Nobody knew what she was talking about. Like she would just ramble on about something in her life that didn't actually have to do with the matter at hand. So for example, there was this guy from this alkaline water filter producing company. Like he came to give us free bottles of alkaline water. And he gave us a whole presentation about why this type of water is better than the regular water that you drink. And this is why you should buy our company's filter. That was the reason why he came, right? Yeah, like at the end of his presentation, he gave us each a sign-up form that, okay, if you're interested in subscribing to our... So like what happened is that you could rent the water filtering systems from this company and you would only have to pay, I don't remember how much it was, like 1,100 yen per month, which was deeply discounted from the regular price that they offer to regular customers. But since he came and gave us like a special seminar lecture on it, he was giving us like a one-time special opportunity to rent this water filter for only 11,000 yen a month, right? And some people actually signed up for it. So he was like, yeah, and feel free to ask any questions. I'm happy to answer them. We have 10 more minutes left. And this girl just was so weird. Like she asked, I don't even understand. Okay, the guy that was giving the presentation, the guy from the water company, after she finished, he literally was like, I'm so sorry, I don't understand your question, because she started saying something about like, oh, okay, I'm not sure exactly, but I think she was saying that if I put my name down on this form, it's not going to be my government name pretty soon, because I guess she was alluding to the fact that she was going to get married soon. I think that was what it was. So she's like, is it okay if I sign up with my maiden name because it's going to change soon, so then officially I'm not going to have this last name anymore, something like that. But it was very unclear and convoluted. I was relieved actually to find that I was not the only one who was confused. The actual guy from the water company was also confused. He was like, I'm so sorry, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. That was the first indication that maybe like not everything was screwed on straight up there. And then during the actual walking lesson, we split into groups of two, right? So there was the kimono group who were because you have to walk differently in a kimono than you do in a Chinese qipao. So the kimono group went to the other half of the room, and then the China dress or the qipao group stayed in this half. And then she kept saying, like, I witnessed her on 3 separate occasions go up to people, with me included. So I was one of the people that she went up to, but I was also like, I was sitting with another woman that participated in the last pageant. So it was like the 3 of us. And I remember the first time, like she came up to us and then she was like, oh yeah, it's my first time joining this type of thing, blah, blah. And we were like, oh, that's great. Like, we're going to have a great time. This teacher, she's going to teach you everything that you need to know about how to walk on a runway. And then completely unprovoked, this girl started talking about how, oh, when I was little, like such and such thing happened. And so I've always had a complex about blah, blah. And I'm not even joking you. I did not even hear what she said after that. In Japanese, they use the word complex to basically describe like insecurities, right? Complex and insecurity mean the same thing. I guess you could say complex in English as well, but they have a literal Japanese pronunciation of it, like complex. So she was like, yeah, I had a complex about such and such thing ever since I was a child. And basically she was expressing that, she was nervous about this because I guess it's the first time that she ever tried her hand at modeling or whatever. But that's the case for most of the people participating in this, by the way. So first of all, it's not worth mentioning. Like, you don't need to, I don't know, like, why are you telling a bunch of strangers that it's your first time? It's fine to like say that, oh, it's my first time, but
It's just that's my first time.
Okay, it's mine too.
it started to get weird when she dived into basically like her childhood trauma. And, I'm not trying to be callous or anything, but I'm telling you that my brain literally switched off after she said the words, I had a complex ever since I was a kid about ABCD. I did not hear anything that she said after that because my brain was like, wait a minute, wait. Why are you coming up to us who are two complete strangers at this point? I mean, we're all, we're nice people. Like, all the girls are nice and we're helpful and friendly to each other, but this is our first time meeting. And why are you dumping your childhood trauma on us? Why are you leading with what you're insecure about? I swear to you, I didn't even hear what came out of her mouth after I have a complex about ABCD ever since I was a child. Because I'm like, why am I listening to this? Why do I need to know this information? Like, if you have trauma about it, I want you to get professional help. I don't want you to like dump it on people in a public setting because it only makes you look like a weirdo. And like, I'm sorry if that sounds harsh. I'm not saying this with any ill will towards that girl, but alarm bells were going off in my head because I was like, holy crap, is this girl gonna do this to every single person that she comes in contact with in this group? Like, unbeknownst to her, that's going to do more damage than whatever insecurity or whatever perceived shortcoming that she has could ever do. Just the fact that she's walking up to strangers and trauma dumping when this is not the time or place for that. Like, we're here to have a walking lesson. We are here to, discuss and decide on the look that we're going to put together for the fashion show / pageant. And lo and behold, she does it at least 2 times. I don't remember the third time, but the second time, I remember she literally went up to the walking instructor, like the teacher, who also gave a presentation to us beforehand. She gave like a whole presentation on vitamins and nutrition and all of that. And this same girl, she was like we were having a practice session with the walking, right? And then the teacher was having us each walk one by one down the length of, the runway. And the actual stage that we're going to be on is shaped in a T shape. So she was telling us, okay, do your walk in that shape, right? Like, go to the end of the runway and strike a pose, and then go to the left, strike a pose, and then walk all the way back to the right so that, it forms a T shape. This girl completely, like, I think she was just so nerve-wracked to the point where her brain short-circuited because she completely could not walk in a T formation, even though she wasn't the first one to go or anything. She was one of the last ones to go. That means that she watched at least 10 girls before her walk in that exact T formation. Like, it's not difficult, right? But I think because she was probably freaking out so much in her mind, and I truly feel bad for her. I feel like 100% this girl must have gone through some deep trauma in her childhood. But again, like, this is not the place for you to air it out, right? Because as nice as we are, of course, we're there to be nice and help each other out and everything, but we're not there to be your therapists. Anyway, she was doing her walk, but I swear to you, like, she literally was not even walking down the middle of the room. She was like walking to the sides, and you could just tell that like her brain was short-circuiting. I think she was just freaking out, honest to God, because it's probably the first time in her life that she's ever tried to do like a runway walk, so to speak, which is really just all you have to do is walk naturally, try to walk in a straight line. Like, that's it. But I think she was overthinking everything, and yeah, like, just overthinking all of the instructions that the teacher gave us. Probably like just so, I don't know. I think she had extreme stage fright. She probably was freaking out at the fact that the rest of us were watching her. Everyone was watching everyone, right? Because like the teacher had everybody do a solo walk like several times. That's just part of the practice. And so yeah, during her walk, the teacher is like, make sure that you go to the left. And then she would go to the right. Like, the teacher would literally tell her, okay, remember, you have to go to the left because it's a T shape. But then she would literally like go in the complete opposite direction because I think her brain just couldn't handle. Yeah, I'm surprised that she didn't burst out crying. I feel like at least Okay, I don't know, knock on wood, but she doesn't seem like a crier, but I know for sure that she was panicking in that moment. Like, you could see the panic on her face. And then yeah, the teacher was like just trying to guide her, like, no, remember, go to the left. Remember, you have to make a pose here, right? Because there's going to be photographers and stuff. So don't just walk, don't be hesitant. Have a pose in your head beforehand and strike it like with certainty once you get to the spot. And she just was not getting it at all, right? She just kept spinning around and it looked like a robot short circuiting or something. So then, yeah, eventually the teacher was like, okay, so just make sure you work on that. And yeah, why don't you just go walk down the stairs? There were no stairs at the actual room, but at the actual event hall there's going to be some stairs at the end where we all walk down, right? So she's like, okay, why don't you walk off the runway now? And she still like could not walk in the direction that the teacher was telling her to walk. So then she starts to again dump onto the teacher about, oh, when I was a kid, I used to have a complex about ABCD in front of everyone. And we're all, oh my God, it was so uncomfortable. And of course, we were all just trying to like be nonchalant and not pay attention, but it was really hard. I had to like deliberately not look into her direction because I didn't want her to feel like we were staring at her or anything. And I could see a couple other girls do the same thing, but it was just a hot mess. And, the teacher was like doing her best to be nonchalant as well. Like, no, it's fine. I think she was also kind of trying to like rush her off the stage, so to speak, even though it wasn't a stage, it was just a practice room. But the teacher was like, no, like it's fine. We're all learning here. There's so many people here where it's their first time on a runway. Like, you're not alone. And she was just trying to calm her down and telling her indirectly to stop talking about this in public. Yeah, so anyway, that was really, really kind of a jarring experience that I just had like 2 days ago. And it reminded me that, yeah, it's really important to not trauma dump. Definitely not in public, preferably not to your friends either. If you're like me, I think firm boundaries are very healthy in friendships as well, no matter how close you are with somebody. In fact, the closer you are, the healthier it is to have like firm boundaries in place. That's going to make your relationship even more robust, juicy, and mutually beneficial if you both are like on the same page about where to set boundaries. It's not appropriate, to dump it on to somebody who is not like specifically trained to deal with that or something, or someone like a therapist who's not specifically there to help you work through your trauma. Because otherwise, why are you like, it's not going to help you just to dump it out into the open. At worst, you're giving your enemy ammunition to use against you. And at best, you're making people who are not licensed therapists. They're just your coworkers or your friends or, the fellow party goers, the fellow attendants of a networking event. You're making them very uncomfortable and you're not doing yourself any favors, right? This is not to speak down on or brush away anybody that has mental health problems or trauma that they're dealing with. Like, we all have something, but there's a time and a place. You can't do that in public, especially if you want to enter elite society. It's seen as a sign of emotional immaturity or like a lack of emotional control, because it is. So you want to cultivate emotional control, a certain level of dignity and grace that you can move about the world with. And yeah, it takes practice, it takes time. And depending on the environment that you grew up in, like if you grew up in a family where everybody just wore their hearts on their sleeves and there was always drama, or I don't know, people often overstepped boundaries in terms of like emotional boundaries, physical boundaries. If you grew up in that type of a family, it's going to be a process for you to kind of train yourself out of that.